Hello and welcome to Overdrive. I'm Shireen Bhan. As you can see, over the next 30 minutes, we've got a lot of biking action lined up for you. So let's start with Honda's entry-level performance bike. That's right, we are talking about the CBR 250R. It's all set to take on its rivals, the Kawasaki Ninja, the Yamaha R15 and the Karizma ZMR.
Looks interesting, doesn't it? But then Honda's new CBR 250R isn't just about interesting looks. There's a lot of geeky stuff right under these cowls. And it's all Honda's way of showing just how the entry-level performance motorcycle segment should be addressed. And well, to be honest, if this is the kind of gyan Honda is imparting, then well, a lot of people out there, including me, are listening intently. This is, after all, Honda's first performance motorcycle in the volume segment, and it will take on the likes of the Kawasaki Ninja, the Yamaha R15, and at the short end of the stick, even new rivals, Hero Honda's Karizma ZMR.
The CBR 250R draws its styling from the Honda VFR 1200F, which was recently launched in India. So what you see is a design that looks well ahead of our times, but may not entirely be appealing. I, for one, don't find it all that attractive, but that is an entirely subjective matter. It is, however, a striking design, and it will turn heads wherever it goes, especially the combination of that sports bike fairing and the wide tyre at the rear. The CBR 250R's design is based on a mass centralization form, which simply means the weight of most of the components are focused at a central point. In the case of the CBR 250R, it's somewhere low down and in the middle of the bike, and this primarily enhances its dynamic abilities, though I wouldn't treat it as a traffic light GP rider.
The CBR 250R is a proper take on a sports tourer. No, this isn't a Focus Sports. Make that a full-fledged racing motorcycle. Honda's design allows a lot of room for comfort. So it's got this wide seat, it's got this slightly large and tall wind deflector, and it's got these slightly raised handlebars, all of which add for effortless touring. But then this recessed tank, the rear set foot pegs, and of course this full body fairing, all of those add the sporty touch. So yes, the CBR 250R is a very comfortable motorcycle to ride, but then this is also a very, very quick and a highly dynamic bike. The CBR 250R's handling is spot on, thanks to a low curb weight and a fairly light front end. This bike is very easy to guide around in corners or to flick around in traffic. And then it's got a well-sorted suspension, especially this stiff and very flex-free twin-spar diamond frame chassis, which makes this bike extremely composed and very confident in the twisties. Add to which are the sticky Continental tires, which come as standard fitment on the Indian spec bike. And they are very good at balancing both ride and handling.
In fact, most perceptions are of a big and large motorcycle, which is not the case. The CBR 250R is a small bike, compact enough to be handled easily, yet it is significantly larger and taller than the Yamaha R15. The riding position is comfortable, so you don't need to stay crouched over the bike unless you really need to squeeze that last ounce of speed. I also found the rear to be surprisingly soft. Not so much that it affects handling, but soft enough to provide enough long-distance riding comfort, which in my books is a very good thing.
The most important aspect in this bike is the inclusion of ABS, which we've already experienced on its older twin, the VFR, and even before that on the CBR 1000RR. But how does it work on a smaller motorcycle? Well, it's just as capable and brings this bike to a halt in an immensely short distance. However, in the CBR 1000RR, you never ever felt the brakes pulsing on the levers. In the VFR, there was a mild pulse. But on the CBR 250R, well, there is an immense amount of pulsing through these levers. It feels quite violent. You just, however, have to get beyond that and keep yanking on the brake lever. And rest assured, the bike will do its thing. It will come to a halt in as composed and as safe a fashion as possible.
What makes the most difference on this motorcycle is its single-cylinder liquid-cooled engine. That single cylinder displaces 249.4 cc and has a fairly small stroke inside the cylinder, which means you get an engine that revs very high. It red lines at nearly 10,500 RPM, and its fuel is fed through a fuel injection system.
With 25 PS of max power and 23 Newton meters of max torque, the CBR 250R has a very strong engine. Couple that to its 161 kilos of curb weight, and you'd expect astonishingly quick acceleration times. And in that respect, the CBR 250R does not disappoint. What she does add to the equation, however, is a smoothness and linearity that makes it an effortless ride.
However, the max power and torque are available only once you rev this engine past 7,000 RPM. So, while it does have a strong mid and top range, you really won't enjoy cruising around in the city at under 3,000 RPM. You will want to play with the super slick 6-speed gearbox to keep the bike in its power band, and you will appreciate its incredibly light clutch action. As for those looking for some performance numbers, the CBR 250R is way quicker than the Yamaha R15, nearly 4 seconds quicker, and less than a second separates it from the more performance-focused and twin-cylinder engined Kawasaki Ninja. But what matters is efficiency. We got a bit over 37 kilometers to a litre on the highway and around 27 kmpl in the city.
The biggest punch the CBR 250R packs in is its price. At 1.5 lakhs, you get all this. And by all this, I mean the performance which is as close to the Ninja, the ride and handling which is better than the Karizma, and of course dynamics that are as keen as the R15. So at a very affordable price, you get a motorcycle that's so well developed all round, it has all the angles covered. Question is, are you prepared to wait in line?